Hello, I have quite the surprise for you here. I have an example of a student's assignment for week two, the movie visualization that I received 100% from a previous class. So I thought I would show it to you so you could kind of see what we're talking about. The presentation that this student made from all of the visualizations was Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, The Battle of Hoth. And this was his assignment for VCR assignment 2. He started out with the Battle of Hoth. It's a timeline. Actually, it's dual timelines. It's two of them. On the top, you have the Imperial, and then you have the Allied forces, Rebel forces. So you have the Imperial battle group and the Rebel forces, the timeline of the entire battle. And as you can see down in the bottom, he also has the data source where you can go look up the data that he has for all of these. And he has different icons for each of the forces. He also now has, this is a topographical map. This one is quite unusual. What you see here is the actual battlefield for the Battle of Hoth. You see both sides. When you look at the top of the infographic, you can see the symbol. And then when you look at the bottom, you see the symbol for the other forces. So you have both the Rebel and the Allied forces and a topographical map of the battle and the arrows indicating from which direction the infantry and all of the forces came from. Here, created in Excel, is the Galactic Empire Mechanized Forces. What you have here is one of the requirements, the visualizations that were required for this assignment, and it was a bar graph. Well, he's taken it one step further and he has a three-dimensional bar graph. And if you take a look at it real close, you're going to see what we were measuring on your week one assignment. They have a title at the top. It's clear what this is about. When you look down the left-hand side, you're seeing the x-axis and then the y-axis across the bottom. You're seeing the number of units clearly labeled. You're seeing the variables clearly labeled across the bottom, the Superstar Destroyer, the Imperial class, and you see a legend, a key for what the colors mean. The blue is the forces that were fielded, that were sent to battle, and the orange is how many were lost. So this is a great example of a visualization populated by actual data through Excel showing all the requirements. This is another bar graph 3D created in Excel for the other forces, the Rebel Alliance Mechanized Forces. Again, you can see the title, you can see the X and Y axis, the number of units clearly labeled, the variables clearly labeled, and again, you can see the legend showing the blue was the troops fielded and orange were the troops that were lost. What you see now also created in Excel is a pie chart, which is also one of the requirements, but also 3D. And you can see right here it says the Imperial 501st Legion Ground Forces. That's the title. It's telling you what forces we're representing. And at the bottom there's the legend again. Blue is the total forces, and orange is how many forces were lost. And this one goes one step further. And what you're seeing here is a call out box that in white says the losses were 29% and the total left were 71%. You add this together and that is 100. This is actually populated by data through Excel, and the call out makes it very effective. And again, the data source at the bottom. And another Excel, the opposing forces, the Rebel Alliance ground forces, again, the blue and orange showing the total and the losses, the call out boxes, and the data source. Now again, you have the title and you have everything labeled. It's very clear. This, created in Keynote, is the military presence on Hoth. And what you're seeing here is a line graph. If you look real close, the blue is the Imperial forces, the orange is the Rebel forces. And you still have the icons that represent each of the forces carried throughout this whole entire presentation. It has the title clearly visible. You have the X and Y axis. You have the units clearly labeled. The variables across the bottom clearly labeled. Without anybody telling me, I can tell what happened here. The blue, which is the Imperial forces, started out with 0 before the battle. And they went all the way up to 6,000 and they ended with something shy of 3,000 forces. I can see that the rebel ones started at 3,000 and ended at 0. So although the Imperial forces started with nothing, they obviously won this battle, and that's what I was talking about, that a visualization tells the story without anyone present to tell me what was going on. This here was created in Tableau. It's a map, it's a regional map, and this was done with actual data populating it. And the blue is showing the home to the garrison or outposts of the 501st Legion garrisons around the world. And down at the bottom, it shows me where I can go double check the data. And again, it's very simple, very elegant. I can tell what's going on. I can see the title. I can see the legend. I know that that's a world map. And I can tell that the world was fairly covered with the 501st Legion garrisons with all of the blue. Very effective, very effective. Very little text. Now we're going into the dashboard created for one of the characters in the movie. And he even labeled what we were getting ready to see. From the data pad of General Maximilian Veers, commander of the Blizzard Force, Army of the Galactic Empire, presented in 2 languages, Aurebesh and English. There's the dashboard. It's a very effective dashboard based on what this student assumed that that general would need to see. The weather, the time, power, how much power they have left, the distance to target, the status of how many casualties and how many are still functional. Over on the other side, what do we have here? Power, how much power we have left in each of those weapons, armor, shields, and incoming communications. That's a very effective dashboard using your imagination of what that commander would want to see based on what was actually happening in the movie, and it's believable. And as you can see, it's labeled. Units are labeled. The X and Y axes over here on the right are labeled. Everything is labeled. I have no trouble figuring out what's going on. He also provided a references page, which was all the references from the data and where he got all of the information. So I think this was a very, very effective assignment 2-3 for the movie visualization. So take a look at it, and if you have any questions, let me know.